Hey everybody, so today I just wanted to talk to you guys about some different stuff. I have a couple of updates first and foremost, and then after that I'm just going to get into some of the stuff and feelings about stuff. Yeah, we'll get there in a minute. The first couple of things that I wanted to mention was that we are officially done with homeschool for this year. We finished today's Saturday, so a few days ago, and wrapped that up, and it's been really nice. Like, I kind of forgot that I also get to have a bit of a summer break from teaching the kids, so it's been nice to, like, I don't know, get in a different routine than having a couple hours in the morning and then getting ready for school. So it's been really nice, and the girls did a fantastic job. They loved their little bags that I had shared with you guys. We also did end up getting the Dairy Queen too, and they just loved that. So we've been, even though it's only been a few days, we've been enjoying everything so far and really proud of all the work that they've done this year. And I know I've said it a lot, I've mentioned it a lot, but I'm just really thankful for this year of homeschooling and how much better it went. And I don't know, us just finding our groove and everything. It was just so different than the first year, and I'm so thankful for it. It just went by really smoothly. I think there was only like 2 days out of the year where I texted my husband ready to rip my hair out, and that is a big improvement because the first year was definitely rough. But I do have the homeschool update for you guys about like how we liked our curriculum, and I had filmed that a few weeks ago, so I mentioned in the video that, oh, we're going to be done in a couple of weeks. We're already done now. So just understand that the timeline's a little messed up with putting everything up. But it didn't feel appropriate to get my other pre-recorded videos up before coming and talking to you guys. Not just for the updates, but for like the second half of this video. But yes, that will be coming, and I still stand beside everything I said in there. Nothing changed in the last few weeks. Homeschool's done, went well, really great. Also, the older girls got boosted. If you didn't know, ages 5 to 12, they do have boosters available for COVID shots, and those went really well. They took them like champs. Honestly, it went a lot better than the first couple of times, which is really nice as far as like actually getting them. And honestly, I think the booster actually went over a lot easier too, because one was just more tired than usual. They took a nap, and then the other one had a little bit of a headache, but nothing crazy. So overall, it went really, really well. Very much looking forward to the CDC getting together in June and talking about the vaccine for the younger kids. Try not to get my hopes up with that anymore, just like I used to say for the older girls, but it is looking promising, and it would be amazing if they approved it and we could get shots for those kiddos like in the beginning of July. Then that would be awesome, because we would still have like a month or two of summer left with Lexi fully vaccinated, and that could mean like zoo trips and a lot of like other fun stuff. So very much hoping for that, but again, don't want to get like too ahead of myself basically. I also did want to apologize because I know that I had said that I was going to put up Mother's Day gift guides, and I totally intended to. I had my notes written out and everything, and then I got hit by allergies so hard. I have had allergies all my life, but very, very mildly. Like my eyes water, sometimes my ears were itchy, you know, like that kind of thing. But I never had like the whole 9 yards that a lot of people suffer every single year. So this year I did though. It kind of hit me out of nowhere. It was awful. And even Sophie got them a little bit too. She follows a lot in the way that I do medically, if that makes sense, without getting too much into it. A really good example is the sensitivity to anesthesia, or it might even be like an allergic reaction. I don't really know what it is, but you guys know my experience with anesthesia has not been great, and Sophie has had the same exact reaction to anesthesia as I have, along with other things throughout her life. So it didn't surprise me when I got hit by allergies and she was having a really tough time too, but thankfully hers was really short-lived. But it took me out completely, and it's not very often that I'm that sick. So I just didn't have it in me to film, and then I thought, oh, I'll put it on my Instagram stories, and I was just like, for days, it just hurt to have my eyes open. My whole face felt sore, like everything just felt swollen and puffy and itchy and just like, oh my gosh, it was rough. And I had so many of you tell me on Instagram that your allergies were really bad this year too. So I know a lot of us were feeling it, and I'm not quite sure what was going on, but man, it was rough. So I do apologize for that. I do plan on sharing what I got Mark for Father's Day. I think I might record that like this coming weekend and then have it up for you guys that following week. So probably around then. Honestly, I've been just trying to catch up since the month of April because we had our staycation, and then it was Easter, and then it was Rumi's birthday and her birthday party, and then like just a couple weeks after all that there was Mother's Day, and then after that, you know, like I said, we were finishing up homeschool. So it's just been like nonstop, and I feel like I'm finally starting to settle a bit more. Like my house has been a complete mess for like the past month and a half, 2 months. And I'm really eager to have some of this time that, you know, we're not doing school, so I can go through and I can really start to get my hands on things. More specifically, out in the living room, I think we might be making our own dining room table, which if you've been with me for a really long time, you know that's a big thing. We have never had a dining room table here. We always just eat, us adults on the couch and the kids at their own little kiddie table. That's just how we've always done it. I wanted the room for my kids to be able to run around and play. But with Sophie and Remy getting older, I don't want to say they don't play. They definitely do. But, you know, they're not toddlers anymore. They don't need as much space to play. They have like a handful of specific interests, and they really gravitate towards those. Of course, they join Lexi sometimes and play with her too. Lexi does play on her own a good bit, but she doesn't need nearly as much room. We feel like we have the room in our living room to finally have a dining room table, which is really, I don't know, I'm looking forward to it. If it works out really well, I could do a more in-depth, detailed video. But just to give you an idea, in case you guys are on the hunt for something that's a bit more affordable, because furniture is really expensive. And that's the reason why we honestly have not bought a lot of our own. I say a lot, but off the top of my head, unless it had to do with the kids, I don't think we've really bought any furniture for ourselves. You know, our bed, our couches, like so many things are just from relatives. It's really expensive. I don't want to spend our money somewhere and it just fall apart after a couple of years. We also have small kids. Even if they are older, they are still smaller children. They are very rough on things. And I think what we're gonna do was an idea that I saw on TikTok. And Home Depot, I'm sure other places do, but the only place around us is a Home Depot. They sell butcher blocks, and they're typically made for like islands or countertops or stuff like that. But it's basically like a really thick, giant cutting board. So all the wood is already together for you. It's already sanded. It's already like nice on the edges and all of that. So they sell these butcher blocks in different sizes, and the one that we would need is about $200. We'll need to stain it and we'll need to seal it, so that'll probably be like another $50. And then we found metal legs on Amazon, and we also plan on making 2 benches, again just from wood from Home Depot, and legs again off of Amazon. Altogether, the 2 benches, all the legs off of Amazon, and the butcher block, stain, sealing, it should cost us around $450, which is still a lot of money, but it's all real wood, and I feel like gonna last a bit longer. Will it be our forever table? Who knows? Probably not. But I really like the idea of not having any cushions, so I don't have to constantly clean those, and also just a nice solid chunk of wood. Like, it doesn't need to stay in perfect condition for the rest of our lives, but that way it just withstands the children a bit, if you know what I'm saying. And honestly, the people who did it on TikTok, it came out really nicely, and it seemed like a nice, like an actual DIY. I don't mean to dog on DIYs at all, but I feel like a lot of them are like assuming that you have a ton of tools already, and we don't. Like, my husband would love woodworking tools, but we've never had a reason to have any. But this is something that you can do with pretty average tools. Mark didn't say that he needed anything extra tool-wise, so it feels like a really nice option, and I'm really happy with that idea. So we're gonna be doing that. So I need to make space out in the living room and just really want to get through all that stuff. And then for my birthday from Mark, I asked for a bookcase from IKEA, and it's my favorite color, which is really cool. It's like, you know, that deep teal type of color from IKEA. I'll link it down below, but you guys cannot sell it out, okay? Because I want it so bad. It is a pretty small bookcase, but I only have a small space in my room. You guys know how small it is in here. So it's gonna replace this little cabinet that I have sitting right to the left of me right now. And with that, I just want to go through the stuff underneath my desk. So my desk is actually right in front of me right now. I'm looking at everything underneath here. I have a tote of all my pump stuff, which I'm now weaned. There's also a tote of things in here that was more educational toys, but I believe those were younger, like preschool stuff. So again, I got to go through it. And then on top of both of those totes, I have so much crap. There's my nail stuff. There's my UV sterilizing bag. I have a bunch of pictures. I'm probably gonna age myself because I don't think really anybody does this anymore, but I have so many. Can you see the dust? Oh my, I did something bad, but I have so many prints just sitting here because they don't even have an album. There's a bunch of our homeschool work and stuff like that I keep, so that way I can just pick through for our assessments. So I need to get this all straightened up, because if I'm gonna have a pretty little bookcase, I want the rest of my space to be nice. So yes, very long-winded, but that's basically all that's going on with us and what we're doing for the moment, what my plans are for the time being. The kids are just enjoying their time off, and I am going to enjoy the time to be able to purge this house of a lot of things that we don't use anymore, we don't need, and we barely know exist. And then the last part of this video, I'm going to be talking about some heavier subjects just to give you a decent content warning moving ahead. There's quite a few things that I want to talk about. And I feel like if you've watched my personal videos for any amount of time, you probably know where I stand on a lot of issues. And if you don't, you could probably guess. And this video is going to make it abundantly clear. And I just want to say, I'm not looking to have a conversation about how I feel about these topics. It's not up for debate. I'm not going to debate anybody. I'm not going to explain my position on any of them. I don't have it in me to convince people to care about things that they should just care about. And I just want to make that clear. I'm just, you know, when I first started social media, I felt like maybe I could change minds or, you know, make a difference. And I just don't know that I care enough anymore to. You know, the pandemic just really took it out of me. I think it was really disheartening for a bunch of us to see just how little everyone cared about each other through that. So, yeah, I mean, that's a good intro into this. I just, you know, it's always been hard to be a parent here in the United States, but I feel like very recently it's been coming from all angles. And it's just been a little relentless. It's definitely a lot of things that the disabled community and BIPOC communities have been saying for a really long time now. And America has always been a mess. We have a messy past, we have a messy present, and I'm sure we'll have a messy future. But it feels like the waters are heating up. Every day I feel like it just gets a bit more discouraging being here, if we're being completely honest. And, you know, anytime I talk about this stuff on Instagram, I always, without fail, get a couple of messages telling me to just move, to go to California or go to Canada or to leave this country. And to that I say, I am, whether you like it or not, an American citizen, and I live here, and I can criticize it all I want because it is my government. And I think they're doing a pretty shit job. I mean, they've always done a pretty shit job, but they're really just chef's kisses outdoing themselves lately. You know, you have parents who have been struggling with this pandemic for going on 3 years now. Only recently, last half of last year, did our older kids be able to be vaccinated against a pandemic that nobody was taking seriously at the point of which they could be vaccinated. Basically, it was safer to go to school when we barely knew anything about this virus than it is now that we know how deadly it is and how serious people should take it. And it's been a constant weighing of what's safe and what isn't, what's worth the risk, what isn't, like all of this. It's a constant weighing all the time. And that's a lot to do as a parent, because you're already doing that about a billion other things. And then on top of it, you're wondering if it's worth it to take your kids in Target. Do you have someone in your life who's immunocompromised? Do you want to risk your child who can't be vaccinated getting it? Do you want to, like, so many different things. And, I could go off on a tangent about this for quite some time, and I think a lot of you would get it. And it's honestly, it's tempting, because you get so many people who are so dismissive about it and they don't see the issue. And I think that's part of where the difficult feelings come from, the frustration, the resentment, if we're being completely honest. But there's some other things that I also want to talk about, so I can't go on a tangent today. But just know that, if you have hard feelings around that still, you're not alone. I think the only way that Mark and I have figured out how to cope with that kind of stuff is to just ration those feelings. It's been going on for so long that there's just no way to let it eat at you every single day, because that's exhausting. Like, that's just not sustainable. So it kind of ebbs and flows. And right now cases are going up. So we know what that means. And yeah, it's rough. It really is rough. And the fact that parents have been dealing with that, and then, this again, nothing new, but this past year in 2022, there's been a real increase in different kind of book and curriculum bans, just harming different communities on a whole new level than what they usually do. And just walking back so many ridiculous things. And honestly, it was a pretty discouraging moment as somebody who wanted to send her kids back into public school. That has always been the plan. You guys know that. I've been a pretty broken record about it. That's something that Mark and I have felt very strongly about, is sending them back to public school when it felt safe and they could all be vaccinated. And then you hear things like this, and you never know if it's going to be your school district next that takes up these, like, the stupidest stances I've literally ever heard. I'm back. I had to break up a Minecraft argument. Anyways, what I was saying, as somebody who wants to send her kids back into public school, it's like, what are we getting out of it? If they literally can't get the basics and I'm going to be teaching them so much more at home, what is the point? And I've never been under the assumption that I can just send them to school and they'll learn everything that they need to, and I won't have to do any work at home. I know that's not how it works. But we can't even take a history class and get the knowledge that we need to. That doesn't sit right with me. And then for the past, it's been a while. I feel like it's been a long time I've been hearing moms say that they are having a harder and harder time finding formula. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it started with a recall. A recall is a good thing. They're taking the dangerous formula off the shelf. But at the same time, that started limiting the formula that was available. And then on top of that, we have just had a shortage. So the supply started to dwindle more and more and more. And as of recently, people have had to go to extreme measures. They've been traveling. They've been trying to get their relatives or friends in different states to ship it to them. I cannot tell you the amount of posts that I've personally seen on my timeline. And I don't even have that many mom friends. And that's the thing, is that so many children have specific formulas that they're on for good reasons, that just switching back and forth between brands isn't ideal. Obviously, when it comes down to it, sometimes you got to do what you got to do, but not every child is afforded that either. There is different dietary restrictions for various reasons and stuff. So to not have formula, which is literally used to keep infants alive, is a big deal. It's a big deal. And it just started getting addressed. Like I said, it's been a problem for a little while now. It's just become a dire situation. So of course it had to reach a threshold of just being complete chaos for them to do anything about it. And then on top of that, a few weeks ago now, there was also a Supreme Court opinion leaked. Now, this doesn't typically happen. I'm not sure that it's ever happened before. An opinion isn't a ruling, for those who might be unfamiliar. So The official ruling has not come out. That won't come out till sometime in June from what I've understood. And an opinion is just right before they give their ruling. But hardly ever, if ever, have we heard the opinion months before getting the ruling. They normally come pretty much hand in hand. And it was that the Supreme Court felt that Roe v. Wade should be overturned. And for those of you who are not Americans or do not know, Roe v. Wade is our right to abortions. So that is founded on our right to privacy. And it being overturned not only obviously threatens abortion, because what it being overturned will do is allow it to be a state's issue. So each individual state will determine where they reside on that issue, and they will make the laws accordingly to whatever they want. But also because it was founded on privacy, in my opinion, and obviously I'm not a lawyer or anything of the sort, it calls into question a bunch of other privacy that we are entitled to. So honestly, it's a slippery slope for a lot of different reasons. Also, the opinion itself cited how it wasn't in the Constitution, just like gay marriage wasn't. And neither is biracial marriage either. So this is a scary thing, because it's not just going to be about abortions. It'll be about a lot more. And not only that, but there's a lot of states, mine included, that have what are called trigger laws, where if Roe is overturned, they already have laws that'll instantly take place, and they'll either heavily restrict or they will ban abortion altogether. There are even some states that are going as far as trying to ban IUDs, IVF, and also other contraceptions. And please understand that Roe is still standing right now. Abortion is still legal on a federal level. And it's still not easy to access in this country. There are some states where it is near impossible, and people will literally leave the state to go find one in a different one that's easier to access because of loopholes and ways that they can write laws to get around, not outright banning it altogether, but virtually doing it. And like I mentioned before, a lot of other states are not making this just about abortion. They are making it about several other things as well. As someone who has a uterus, as a mother to 3 people who have uteruses as well, and for someone who cares about literally everyone else who has a uterus, it's a scary thing. It's a scary thing for a lot of different reasons. And honestly, I don't feel like I can even be entirely candid on the subject because of my state that I live in, being a state that would definitely ban abortion given the chance, and the fact that a lot of states are trying to also criminalize it. So murder sentences in prison time, if you perform one, if you get one. In some states, even if you help somebody, there are civilian bounty hunters and people can sue you. And it just doesn't feel safe to talk about. I don't want to put anything out there that would later get my future self in trouble. There's a lot more that I want to say on it, but unfortunately I feel like I have to leave it there. I think you guys can understand what I'm feeling. This book right behind me, I would recommend it. If you don't have it, I will link it at Barnes & Noble. It won't be an affiliate link. I don't want to make money off of that. But this is a handbook for Post-Roe America. This is the newer version. I believe it was released in 2021. You see the front here. About this book, I had ordered it from a few different places. Yes, 2021. I had ordered it from a few different places, and Barnes & Noble was the only one that could fulfill it because it did go viral on TikTok. This is very intersectional. It would be a good idea to get it now while it is still allowed everywhere, because that's another thing. Even online resources might not be available should something happen to Roe. So I will link it to Barnes & Noble down below because they actually did, it shipped and everything to me. My 2 other orders that I had placed with 2 different websites said, sorry, it's out of stock for the foreseeable future. Can't send it to you. They refunded me. So Barnes & Noble was really my only choice. And then the Robb Elementary shooting happened a few days ago. There was 19 elementary school students and 2 teachers who lost their lives to a mass shooting. For those of you who don't know, elementary is grades, basically K through 6th grade. But in this instance, this particular school was for 2nd to 4th graders. I think this is one of the things that shook me the hardest being a parent. I've never had anything quite like this stay with me. Really just kind of like put me in a fog, you know, like nothing feels right other than just like being with my kids, like letting them have whatever they ask for. Feeling like really helpless and worried, terrified, just to name a few. I can remember where I was for Columbine. I can remember where I was for Sandy Hook, Virginia Tech, Parkland, Las Vegas, and I will always remember where I was for Robb Elementary as well. I think that's a pretty unique American thing. I think it's also awfully American to look at the number of a mass shooting being reported and know that that's a conservative estimate. And to also know just off the top of your head that that number looks to be about one of the worst school shootings we've ever had. There has been so many school shootings between right now and when I first became a parent. They are unfortunately part of the American news cycle that filters in and out and isn't much more than just a few day blip on the radar. And I know that sounds horrific to everybody else, and it is. It really is. You just see it so much that if you took it in every single time, I don't know how much of you would be left at this point. A lot of people assumed that when Sandy Hook happened, that would be the line in the sand. So many had happened before that, and like I have said, so many have happened since that. But they were elementary schoolers too. And I think that the first like real discussion about gun reform happened with Sandy Hook. We saw so many of the parents implore and beg and plead with Congress to do something. And to everyone's horror, the conversation also ended there. And I know it's felt like for a lot of people that if it didn't get done then, a lot of people feel like it will never get done. I shared a lot of my unfiltered thoughts on Instagram because honestly, it's hard in the moment when you're sitting here and trying to talk and to put things into words. It's a lot easier for me to write them because sitting here thinking, I just can't get past how it feels like nothing else matters if they're not safe. I can't get past that. These kids are quite literally the future. I think everyone can agree on that we all want them safe and protected and taken care of and given the best that we can because that's what they deserve. They're literal children. They didn't ask to be here, but they are. And it's our duties as adults in society to take care of them until they can join us and they can join us in the community and give back to it. But until then, they're ours to protect and keep safe. I don't understand what any of this is for if they're not. Those kids won't ever have a high school graduation. They won't grow up and have some kind of career. They won't ever have their own families if they would have chosen it. And all in the name of people having toys that they find to be a character trait. They were going to school and now they won't ever come home because they went to school. And that is crazy. That's insanity. Children going to school and getting an education, like just a place that should be safe and a place that they can count on. And their literal only responsibility in school is to get an education, should not also be bulletproof backpacks and lockdown drills and shit like that. I felt really torn up for so many days about it. I just did not want to be part of this cycle anymore. They're willing to pass the responsibility on to the students and the educators and the staff of schools just so people can have toys. They're okay with that blood being spilled because of a wrong interpretation of an 18th century piece of paper. So much of it makes me angry. It makes me scared. I know it's pretty usual for, everyone to move on and to get to something else to talk about or to be in the news. And if you're struggling, if you're having a hard time, if this is sticking with you or making you fearful for your children or, sad when you drop them off at school, you're not the only people going through that stuff. So if you are feeling spent and exhausted, I need you to know that that's understandable. And if you are voting for the best options, if you are organizing locally, if you are donating when and if you can, if you are, doing what you can and it still feels like change isn't happening, that's not your efforts not being enough. It's because the system is broken. All of these issues are multifaceted. They're all interwoven, and there are so many systems in place that just make it damn near impossible for change here. So I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not saying it's not worth the effort. I just get why if you feel like it's pointless. Those feelings are valid. I'm going to urge you to fight through them anyways. To still show up anyways. And hopefully enough of us show up and do that and keep putting our foot down when things are not okay. Maybe slowly but surely we do make a change and things can be different here. I know so many of you rely on public schools and that there's no choice to be made here because you quite literally have everybody in the household working and you rely on public schools. And I'm sure that the people in your household probably have full-time jobs and are still having a hard time making ends meet. So you're not going to be able to afford a private school. You don't have anybody home to have the ability to pull them out and homeschool. And there just simply are not a lot of options for most Americans. Not when you have to work to barely be able to afford stuff. I wish I could just reach through the screen and hug you, because I understand that you're like between this rock and an impossible place where like you want things to be different, but how much can they really be? And I want you to know that I feel that. Like I feel the desire to want something different for your kids, but not having the ability to do much about it either. I mean, it sucks. Like so many people, so many families deserve to be better taken care of than this. To the educators out there, I'm sorry that you guys have to shoulder this the way that you do. The way that everyone is so eager to put even more on your shoulders when it's not fair at all. You guys barely get, I say barely, but most teachers do not have a livable wage. A lot of teachers have multiple jobs. And to put the responsibility of the literal lives of the children in their classroom on top of all that is one of the most unfair and inhumane things I can think of. Not to mention putting the responsibility on the children, the trauma that they have to go through. It's not fair to them. It's not fair to the parents. It's not fair to the educators and the families and everybody else. There's such an easier, simpler, cheaper fix than security, this, that, and whatever that people offer these other solutions. And the best one is gun reform. And along with some of the other subjects that I've talked about, I'm going to leave resources below. I'll probably put it under the listing for this book. Different places that you can donate, ways to get in contact with your senators or other representatives and things like that. I will put as many links as I can down below. Also, if you are an educator and you're looking for classroom security, I shared a couple of things on my Instagram. So if you want to look, I have a highlights over there. I hate to suggest this stuff, but I feel like if it can protect you or your classroom or your children, like I just want to put it out there. I gathered all this information from different places on TikTok from other educators who are sharing what they have in their own classrooms and stuff. Also along with just other people on social media, and obviously just trying to find the research myself as well. So I will leave links to as much as I can down below, and I just wish that there was a way that I could reach through the screen and hug you guys and like let you know that if you're having a really hard time lately and this all feels very doom and gloom, that you're not alone in those feelings, that I think we all just need like a big group hug right now and some deep breaths, and maybe a vacation to the middle of nowhere would feel really good. I don't know, maybe a good scream or two as well. But I don't know. I just, this past week with all that happening and unfolding, it took me quite a few days to really just put myself in even just a regular headspace to come on here and talk to you guys. I've tried to film this chit chat a few times and I feel like I'm just mostly staring off into space because I'm not even sure what I can say. I know for a lot of you, I'm probably not going to make you feel better. I hope that you at least know that you're not alone in all this, and that it's definitely hard right now, but this community is always here and I'm always here. I'm definitely far more accessible on Instagram and you can DM me. I love talking to you guys. Don't ever hesitate to message me. I'm sorry that it's been so tough, guys. And I wish that there was more that I could do through the screen for you. But thanks for hanging out with me. You know, if you made it all the way to this incredibly long video, I really appreciate that. You know, this stuff has been weighing heavy on me and I just wanted to come to my safe place to talk about it with you guys, because this community is not just built by me. It was built by you guys too. And, you know, I hope that you all feel just as safe here, so you also feel like you have a place to turn to. And like I said, don't ever hesitate to reach out to me if you want someone like more one-on-one to talk to, and I can just listen. I don't even have to say anything, give any advice whatsoever. You just need a place to vent. 100% right here for you guys. You'll have a couple of pre-recorded videos coming this next week, and then after that I've got a lot of book content that I'm really eager to film. Also, that Willow Pump review will be coming really soon as well, and things like that. But I hope you guys are doing as well as you can be. I love you guys. Thank you for being here, and I'm really eager to talk to you in the comments. I've missed you so much. So yeah, I hate to say that I hoped you enjoyed this video, but I do thank you for watching.